Whenever I mention a length in inches, feet, or miles, I inevitably get comments like, "Science uses the metric system, you American heathen." But the units we use here in the US are actually better. Hey crazies, there are two major systems of units here in the Western world. The metric system and the imperial system. That second one is, well, it's left over from the Age of Empires. No, not that Age of Empires. Hashtag not a sponsor. Anyway, people have a lot of opinions about these two systems. Imperial units are often considered to be chaotic or cursed, whereas metric units are considered the only legit scientific system. Neither of those opinions is true. What makes a system of units scientific is whether or not it's standardized. And to be fair, the metric system did try that right from the get-go. The second was originally defined as 1/86,400th of the mean solar day. They also tried a similar thing with the meter. It was 1/40,000,000th of the circumference of the Earth. Unfortunately, that wasn't a very good standard since the circumference of the Earth is difficult to measure, at least precisely. And mass was even more difficult to define. So they ultimately made a few physical prototypes and called those the standards. It wasn't ideal, but it got the job done. The thing is, standardization is not unique to the metric system. The US also standardized its own imperial-based system as the US customary system. We took the easy route though and just defined all our units in terms of the metric ones. For example, the US foot is exactly 0.3048 meters, and the US mile is exactly 1,609.344 meters. There are similar definitions for every other unit in the US customary system. They've been linked this way since the 1950s, so any update in the metric system is automatically applied to the US customary system. In 1967, the second was redefined in terms of oscillations of the cesium atom, a universal constant. Since 1983, the meter has been defined in terms of the speed of light, and the second. Then in 2019, the kilogram finally got a universal definition, involving Planck's constant and the previous two definitions. The moment each update occurred, it also applied to the US. Both systems are equally standardized, which means both are equally scientific. If you look at a list of imperial units and how they relate to each other, it can be a bit overwhelming if you didn't grow up with them. But to be fair, a sizable chunk of my viewers did grow up with them. Even if we set that aside though, there isn't anything inherently special about metric units. The meter and the gram are still just as arbitrary as the foot and the pound. You still have to know what a meter looks like and what a gram feels like. The only thing that might give the metric system a slight edge here are the prefixes and the consistency that comes with them. See, in the metric system, lengths are measured in some form of the meter. If you're measuring something smaller, just throw a centi in front, and you've got a smaller unit, the centimeter. Measuring something bigger? Use kilo instead, and you've got the kilometer or kilometer. Oh, you're measuring a small time? How about milliseconds or nanoseconds? Is it a heavy mass? Megagrams might do. There are only 7 units to remember, and every one of them accepts the same list of metric prefixes. Except that's a lie. I don't see the Newton or the joule on this list. What about the Tesla, or the volt, or the watt? Metric may have 7 base units, but there are plenty of other units you also have to remember. So that doesn't actually make it better than imperial, just different. Yes, the metric prefixes are based on tens, but the reason that's convenient is because our decimal number system also happens to be based on tens, and only because most of us have 10 digits on our hands. Here's the thing though, 10 is objectively a bad number to base a system on. There are only 2 factors, 5 and 2. 12 and 16 have way more factors, which makes them far more useful as a system base. And that's exactly what the imperial system does most of the time. There are 12 inches in a foot, 16 ounces in a pound, 3 feet in a yard, 4 quarts in a gallon, and 8 furlongs in a mile. And lots of everyday items come in imperial-sized packs. Eggs, drink cans, hot dog buns, crayons, donuts, and so on. The metric system might be tidy when using decimal numbers, but big whoop. Imperial units win in real life. So is the metric system the only legit way to do science? No. Is the Imperial system cursed? Also no. You should be using whatever one is more convenient for you in a given situation. We invented them to be useful. The most important thing is that reliable and precise communication occurs. Units work because we agree on standards, not because we count by tens. And until next time, remember, it's okay to be a little crazy. It was 1/400,000,000th of the circumference of the Earth.
40.
It was 1/400. There's only one zero, brain. There's only one zero. Turned down for what?